Hey, welcome to more Random Thoughts in Random Places. And today's topic is why the long wait? Why the delay before people report abuse? Well, let's just look at the obstacles that one would have to face when they are in that moment where they realize they've got to say something. But you have to understand what someone is up against. Sometimes a person being abused is not just up against one person, they're up against multiple people. Then what you have to understand is there's a heavy amount of manipulation going in, along with a lot of con man, con woman. I don't know why I did that. So what you've got to look at is, in my case, just so we can get some clarity here, I remember not being able to find the confidence and the courage to report the abuse that was happening to me throughout my childhood, was because the magnitude and the force that this person had over the community. So not only was I having to stand up against her, I was having to stand up against all the people that have a certain perception of her. And so indoctrinated has that been for them. Any other image or persona of this person will not be accepted. So that now means the abuser, the abused, the victim has not only the abusers, the perpetrators to deal with, they now have the rest of the town to deal with, the community, who might have a little bit of skepticism, might not believe them, yeah? Because they can't get over the fact that the person you're saying is abusing you is nothing that they know them to be. And also, to get more understanding, let's look at the Me Too Foundation. So obviously, to my fellow soul beings in America, do you remember that? Do you remember how it took for one person to finally go through all that detritus and be the one brave enough to lead the way, pave the way so everybody else could come forward? It's not an easy thing to do. It's a bit like whistleblowing. We're all told that whistleblowing is the number one thing and you need to be able to do it because of obviously cruelty, abuse, and all of that in the workplace. But when you do, you're persecuted for it. So let's take, if you in America, you know of Jimmy Savile. If not, just look him up. He was prolific and he had a status in the community that was so powerful, so strong, that there was no way. People for decades believed this man. So you think about a young person or any age person trying to stand up to that. You imagine trying to stand up to that. The whole community, in actual fact, the whole country. You can't say that about our Jimmy. He's wonderful. He's this, he's that. Only to find decades later that you were all wrong. Now, this guy got a super burial, a massive send-off. What a great guy. He was this, he was that. He did all this for charity. The first thing you have to understand, which is one of the reasons why people never come forward until decades afterwards, half the time that perpetrator has died. Then they feel safe to come forward because they haven't got a massive battle of you're a liar, you're a scammer, you're a schemer. That's the last things you need to be called when you know you're an innocent person. So when you think about the mountain that someone has to face, it's no wonder they don't report that abuse, because the abuse is hard enough. Now they're going to get ridiculed, persecuted, possibly called a liar and a deceiver and a troublemaker and a destroyer of people's characters. No. And by the time the manipulation is done, this is what you have to understand. Abusers are manipulators and con men before they're anything else, because they have to set the seed. They have to set the seed of confidence. And it's not just the confidence in the person or persons they are wanting to abuse. It's the confidence in everybody else around in that environment. Because God forbid they have people going, oh, that looks a bit dodgy. Oh. No, they need to reassure people that they are trustworthy. Trustworthy. It's all about gaining the trust. And that's why people feel so betrayed, because these people will go on and on and on and on at you to trust them, so much so you start to feel guilty. And if that's not working, they will use manipulative techniques. They will find out all your weaknesses, all right, and any strengths if you have some. They'll put the strengths to bed immediately, right? They will never ever engage with you and let you know things for the better. They don't want you to have that. What they want is to be able to have complete control of you, all of your autonomy in absolutely every sense of the word. And to keep that, they now need to convince everybody else around you. They will even cause issues between your friends and family members just to discredit you, to make it seem like you are the demon. They're just coming in to help. They're the pillar of the community. And it's very, very difficult for people to unsee them being the pinnacle of the community. They have done a very good job. And the reason why they do this good job is because they are narcissists. Now, what you will have is psychopaths and sociopaths. They are all narcissists. Standard. But not all narcissists are sociopaths and psychopaths. The majority of non-psychopaths and sociopaths are all people who are very much control freaks, very much in positions of power, like priests, CEOs, government. It's across the board. It's across the board in the education sector as well. Not only are you in a powerful position and a trusted position, you are also around children, the very vulnerable part of human beings. And so in order to do that safely and surf all of the people they feel that they can pick out to abuse, they must first make sure that the environment that they want to do that in is secure. And by secure, it means they have to have people's thoughts and mentality about them in a completely different light. So when the shit does hit the fan, when the truth does come to the surface, everyone's umming and ahhing. Oh, I don't know. Oh, I'm not too sure because he's this and she's that. They're really wonderful people. They've done so much for charity. They've done so much for their local community. They've given so much money. They've gone out of their way. They've given their time. How can somebody like that ever want to hurt anybody? Well, they do. They do. They do. They do. They absolutely do. And the reason why they're able to get away with it for so long is because they've got everybody under the thumb. They've got you under that spell. And you simply cannot see it. And by the time you kind of do start to think, oh, maybe he or she was right about what was happening, you uncover that multiple children or multiple young people or multiple vulnerable people have all been subject to this for decades. So what you are dealing with is not only is the abuser having to fight, not only is the victim having to fight the abuser, they're having to fight the belief system that was set in about that person. And now when a young, vulnerable person is trying to tell you, look, this is happening and that's happening and it's not just me, you want to shut that person down because they're young, they don't know what they're talking about, they're being over exaggerating, they're growing it all out of proportion, they're making a mountain out of a molehill, or they're attention seeking, or you've got issues and that's why you're making up all of this stuff about really good prominent people. No, it's when you're in a position of power, it's more likely and more tempting for people to do bad things because they know they won't get caught. And then on top of that, they know no one's going to believe your ass. No one's going to believe a word you said. Because this is a generation who are clicky with one another. They have a respect for one another. The old-fashioned values is what they will pass it off as. And this is where it gets mucky. It gets mucky. And when you come out and say that someone has abused you, it's not just clear cut like that. Like you can just walk away and you're going to get any sort of justice. You now have to go through a complete and utter anguish of being interrogated as to why you've come up with that. What would make you think that? What makes you think you're being abused? Think. No, I am being abused. I am being abused. But the abuser will set a deep fear into you. And the way they're able to do that is they will get the community involved, like we've just discussed. And when you get a sense of that, you're just going to go like this. You're just going to quieten down because you can see you don't have a leg to stand on. Yeah, it's not going to be the community coming to your aid and going, we need to listen to this person and then investigate. It's just going to be whitewashed, put under the rug, and people don't want to know. And there's another reason why people don't want to know, because it's so dark. It's such a dark thing. It goes against the laws of nature. It goes against the laws of the universe to interfere with the most vulnerable part of the human species, children. And when they're in adolescence, to confuse, to mix all of that up, it's just beyond cruel. It is beyond cruel. And then what you'll find is that all these prominent people, all these respected people will then discredit your nature as a being and say that people should steer away from you, you're a problem, you're a liability, you're just bad news. And so everybody draws away from you because they don't like what it's connected to. It's too dark. And humans are brilliant at shoving things under the rug and ignoring it because we have choice. We were given choice, and so we choose to be ignorant. And that is why these people are able to get away with such deep levels of abuse, such deep levels of deception. They've literally woven their way into the community, and they will spend years doing that first before they even touch a child. Because they need to make sure that they're such a diabolical fucking mind, right? They need to be sure that they will be unbothered, that nobody is going to interrupt. They want complete free reign to just do whatever sexual abuse, whatever physical abuse, whatever mental abuse, whatever psychological abuse, whatever emotional abuse they see fit to just unleash. They do it with confidence and they do it with arrogance because they know, where are you gonna go? And even if you do stand up, you have got a massive amount of people to convince and get through. And by then you've been destroyed, your family's been destroyed, your relationship's been destroyed. You've got no respect in your community anymore. You've totally been outcast because you're too much of a problem. Everything was fine until you brought that up. You are told that it's your fault. Why don't you just shut up and take it? Nobody is supposed to shut up and take someone completely and utterly taking over and controlling and raping the living daylights out of their body in every single way. That is not on, but it's something that we have accepted in society, so much so we give it a punishment which makes no difference. The punishment doesn't do anything. And then on top of that, you've got to ask the question, why are the judicial system so eager to give them light sentences? It's almost like you want them to do the damage before you punish them. That's a completely different story, but the judicial system always is a red flag. It worries me because it is the most horrific thing that you can do to another human being besides killing them, which is what happens to half of these children afterwards anyway, because the perpetrator needs to hide his diabolical behavior because you know it's effing wrong. You know it's wrong, hence why you've got to hide it. Because if it was normal, why are you hiding it? Why do you feel that you need to kill that life force off for your 5 minutes of pleasure? It's heinous beyond heinous. It truly is. For your little 5 minutes of whatever you wanted to do with your sexual self, you could have done that with consenting adults. Get a prostitute, do something, use a service, an escort service, do what you have to do, but stay away from children. You have issues if you want to be with children. And rather than face that, you've got people who are adamant that it's fine. Young kids don't know that they like it. You're pushing to have the age gap put down further so you can interfere with young lives that are not ready and prepared for sexual encounters. Never mind the physical, just to even talk about sexuality. How dare you? And it would seem that the perpetrator has a lot of fans, a lot of lobbyists, and he is protected. He or she is protected because sadly, the backlash to that person being found and the community members coming together and giving them a kicking is considered too dangerous. We can't have that. The poor perpetrator, he mustn't go through any of that. She mustn't go through any of that. We've got to hide them. And then what we've got to do is use taxpayers' money to give them this privileged lifestyle, while all you people who have been totally destroyed by the abuse can just piss off and go and figure out a way how to heal yourselves. So the perpetrator, again, is getting all the attention, all of the psychological and counselling attention, which is, we need to figure out why that person did what they did. Yes, we do. But whilst we do this, we don't need to ignore the victim. Because maybe we should look at the mentality of the victim and praise and celebrate that and educate people on that. Like, how on earth did you find the mental strength to endure that? That is what we should be studying, is how you survived that and how you can come out still a very beautiful person, a very balanced person, a very kind and compassionate person. It astonishes me how people who have been abused have come out of it and really made themselves alive. Why don't we practice and celebrate that and get people to be stronger? Because there is nothing for the person that's been abused. There is nothing for them. They are not remembered. They are not thought about. They are not given enough help. Because, it's the dark side. We don't want to see that. The more exciting side is the psychopathy of people that do these things. We're more interested and infatuated with that. And yes, we do need that because we need to keep learning. But we've kind of learned enough. If you want to understand how psychopaths and sociopath works, it really is important to, whilst you're studying psychology, do neurology, just the basics in neurology, the amygdala, to be precise, and then to look at their environment and see all the elements that have made that awful storm come together. Because there's a lot to do with in here. And when you understand that abuser has absolutely no ability to have any compassion, they have no ability for understanding, they have no ability to practice boundaries. It's about them, what they want and when they want it, and how you need to serve that purpose. They are hideous, heinous, pathetic beings that slide underneath life. I don't like to refer to these people as animals because animals don't get on like human beings, okay? Animals don't do that, okay? There's no word I can reference for humans that do this kind of behavior. You're not even a monster. There is no words in the English vocabulary or any other vocabulary in any other species that could possibly describe those people. They are the bottom of the barrel. They literally are. There is no place for them. There should be no place for them in society. We shouldn't even have a punishment. It just shouldn't exist at all. Hence why what we need to focus on is observe the rage that people have when communities come together. They literally want to rip that person apart. Understand that mentality. Why is that? Because it goes against the laws of nature. I'll say it again. It goes against the laws of the universe to interfere and to do such disgusting things to the innocence, the most innocence of us. And it is very hard to accept. We have a hard time accepting it, but yet it is rife. We know it happens. We accept it. And when people lose it in a community, that's what we need to focus on, because that is the human being trying to balance everything out, screaming at you, getting you to say, this shouldn't exist. So much so, we don't even have a punishment for it. The minute we even smell that you might be thinking like that, you're out. You're out. You're out. Now, I don't believe in killing, because then where are we learning? So what we need to do is there needs to be a place where these people can be put and they can be in their own little community. And you know what they can do? They can abuse each other. Tell you what, do some role play. Pretend. If that's the sick visions and fantasies that you have, play act with each other. Just don't go hunting for vulnerable little children or vulnerable young people or vulnerable older people. Like I said, it doesn't matter the age. It's just simply you've spotted it, you've seen it, and you're like, yeah, that's my next victim. And this can go on for multiple decades. And hence why by the time there is a window for that victim to escape, they're too frightened. And where are they going to go? It's not like society's got their back. They're too interested in the perpetrator, seeing how many years they can get him off his sentence or her sentence, seeing where they can house them in the community and get them a nice new job so they can go out and start their shit all over again. That is what humans do. Humans are protecting the perpetrator. End of. They just are. They just are. It's not one of those things where you wake up one morning and you feel, yeah, I'm ready to report my abuse. I feel that confident. That's what it should be. You should feel confident to say it immediately, because we know there's going to be some reprisals, but there isn't. There's just one big fight of you having to prove that this piece of slimy filth was doing things that he shouldn't have been doing, was doing things that she shouldn't have been doing, because sadly, women have got involved in abuse to children. One of the earliest cases was a woman that worked at a school. She was feeling a bit down within herself. Her marriage wasn't really going anywhere. And rather than actively do something about that, she got online. She starts to interact with this guy. He flatters her. The next thing you know, this woman is sending pictures of the children in her classroom to him so he can then sell them on as photographs, sex tapes, whatever it was, into his paedophile community. She was just feeding him all these children. And that was the first experience, the first report I realized that, wow, women have completely lost it. Because you're supposed to fight a man to protect a child, the lioness. Even the male lion knows, hey, listen, don't mess, because the female lion, when you touch the children, I'm enraged. I'll destroy the whole earth. That kind of rage. You cannot mess with a mother and her children. And then now when you see that we actively have in our communities women who, for whatever reasons, again, insecurity, lack of a father in their lives, doing all these stupid things to impress these whatless guys, and vice versa, all these guys doing what they can to impress these whatless girls, it's wrong. And all of that, when you give the climate of society, you cannot blame people who have been abused for not coming out, because it's a mucky environment out there. It's a mucky society and nobody cares. So why on earth would somebody come out with something so deep as abuse? And then the levels of abuse that people have gone through, humans don't want to hear it. Well, then let's stop doing it, and let's stop accepting it in community to the point where, yes, we have a punishment for it, but that kind of encourages it, because it's like, it's something that we accept. We're accepting it. Oh yeah, he went off and did this and she went off and did that to a number of kids for 20 years, but and they'll spend about 5-6 years in prison. Where is the justice? Where is the balance in that? Where is the balance in that? And half the time, to get any justice, these people are going to fight another 10, 20 years. They've already just been fighting, and now they're going to fight again against the community, against the system. That's what's going to have to happen, because the system don't want to hear it. It doesn't want to hear the atrocities that some people have as a pastime. They just want to devil and dabble in hurting vulnerable people. End of. And even animals, vulnerable animals, they just want to do the most debauched and derogatory things to living beings. That is who they are. That is what they do. They're beyond psychopathic. They're beyond sociopathic, right? Who knows what these people are, but it's just all gone wrong. Everything inside them is wrong. And they are the very thing society would rather protect more than the abuser. You've got to understand the whole picture of what someone who has been abused is actually up against in reality. Because on paper, it all seems glamorous. Oh, you've just got to ring the hotline. Oh, just do that. We're there for you. Come on, guys. It's never that easy, ever. It's not even easy to do the process when you just want to do something fun, like go on a holiday. And you get to the airport and it's all, well, you imagine the depth and the level of what it means to come forward and say, right, I'm about to lift the lid and it's all going to come out. There are people's lives at stake, people who have lied in their community. Their world's going to come crashing down. So they're not going to want that. So they're going to fight to keep that. And the hardest thing about being abused is being stripped again and told that you're going to have to really prove that happened to you. And you're like, well, where am I going to find all of that strength from? How am I going to do all of that? Where am I going to get? And who's got my back? Who's going to support me, right? Nobody wants to link themselves to you. It's just the same when people have a breakdown. You'd be surprised how many people scarper. And then when you're back and you're doing great, they're all suddenly around you. Oh, I'm so glad. Oh, it's been a long time since I seen. No, you've seen me about. You just distanced yourself away from me when you thought it was all bad. And it was bad. And that was the time when you abandoned me. And that is what people who are abused have to deal with. They already know they're going to get called liars, or there's the strong chance that they're going to be called a liar for basically that we're going to deflect it back on you and say that you've got issues, and because you have issues, you've just lied and you're attention seeking. They will come up with every excuse in the book to reflect it back on you and make out that you're just saying it to be cruel, to cause trouble, and it's not. So when asked, why did you wait so long? I remember I had to wait. I just could not feel comfortable until my foster mother, adopted mother, had died. Because she was so cruel. She was no way, shape or form ever going to apologize to me for what she did to me. Okay, she used and abused me to hide her own demons and then would try to say that that was me doing that. It's the most despicable way that you can be. And she was going to church and she was a prominent, respected woman in the community. Looking at her, you would not put two and two together. We have the same thing that we had with Ted Bundy. That man went on to murder more people because people's perception of him, they just could not accept it. He was horrific. And you let him be. And it's because of that why we are in the way we are now. Because when it comes to real serious crimes, the community gets on ridiculous. They get on stupid. Oh, I don't want to face this about us. Oh, we don't like it. Let's just pretend it doesn't exist. No, it exists. It exists. Because society is a very debauched place. It was built on darkness. So how can it ever show any light? For it to show light, we have to fight for those times. But society, on a basic general term, is a very dark environment. It was built of very horrible actions. So I wouldn't be shocked if I was you. And again, what we have is, I'm just going to be in denial and pretend that didn't happen. Well, it is happening, and it does happen. And sadly, it probably always will happen. But when you ask that question next time, think a little bit more what's involved, because it's not just tit for tat, one against one versus so-and-so. It's not like Kramer versus Kramer. This is now the pursuit of someone's personality, their character, their predisposition. You are about to challenge that with a very prominent person who's very respected in their community, and their family and their friends are connected. These friends and family aren't going to want to hear that. They're not going to want to hear that truth. So you're going to have them to fight as well. There are multiple people that you are going to have to fight. And for someone like myself, my foster mother's power died when she died. But I still had to be careful how I spoke about her, because people still couldn't handle what she was to them. But what she was to them, she was not to me. Okay, and so when people think they know what's going on behind closed doors, or will assume what they think is the worst that can go on behind closed doors, you couldn't even possibly imagine. Why do you think it's behind closed doors? Because it's going to be stuff they don't want you to see. And some of these people, they get so cocky, they like to abuse you in public and in front of everyone as well. And people are still dismissing it. People are that ignorant. It's right in front of your face, and you're still ignoring it. Ooh, I'll just walk over there. Yeah, you either want nothing to do with it, or you're going to just judge. Like, if that was me, I'd be out the door. Would you though? Because like I said, an abuser is going to make sure he breaks you down before he acts, or before she acts. So when you thought, oh yeah, I'm just going to stand up for myself, suddenly that's gone in you. You ain't going to be standing up for yourself. Why do you think the heavy manipulation comes in first. The love bombing. That's where they get you, the love bombing. He's going to love you off so hard. She's going to love you off so hard. You're not really, the lines are blurred now. And for every moment, they trickle the breadcrumb. Oh yeah, there's that person I remember them to be. Oh, see, I told you it was just a bad day. No, it isn't. It's all tactics. All tactics. So you stay in that mind frame. Oh, but he was. There's been days where I've seen that. Oh, she was. I've seen it. She's really nice. No, it's all pretend. It's all pretend. Remember, these people are narcissists. They don't know how to do anything genuine because they're not genuine people. They don't want genuine experiences. They don't have genuine emotions. They don't have genuine feelings. They covet, they copy. They give you back what you would expect to get back so you don't question anything. They know all the tricks to manipulate because you are all just objects and you all have a place and a part to play. So he knows already, yeah, your friends and your community are going to think you're chatting shit by the time I finish with you. By the time I've positioned myself where I need to position myself, it's going to be a train wreck for you, trying to convince people. And funny enough, these people have known you longer than they've known the perpetrator, but they're beginning to deflect on you. This is the level of power that I'm talking about, because you have to remember, a narcissist is desperate. He's desperate. She can't interact genuinely. So they have to have a mission. They have to have something that they want. And then they start to look at who is going to be the stepping stone to get them that. And you never know when you're going to be that victim. You're just thinking you're engaging with someone genuinely, but they're not. It's all a tactic. How do I know this? I've had it done to me multiple times. I've had people come up and smile in my face that they're all full of good intentions, and they never had. They never were. And if you want to look to see for signs of abuse, of behavior, watch that person when they're around others and watch them when they're around family members, if they ever allow you to see that. You will be able to see their values and their morals. You just have to look and listen very carefully. And also, like I said, get a few tips on neurology, because also there is, that will help you understand the micro behaviors of body language. So you've got these body language and you have what you have a core base. So if you get speaking to someone long enough, there'll be certain things that they do that's very common when they speak. Like me, for instance, I'm very animated. If you watch my videos, you will see me use my hands a lot. And you will see my facial expressions a lot. Now, micro expressions are when, one of the most common ones is the tight lip. And even when you think you're hiding your annoyance or your bitterness, you're actually not. And I can tell you it comes out mainly when you're performing. Because sometimes if you're upset and you're trying to perform, you can feel the tension coming through your vocals. So you have to record them again because there's too much tension. It doesn't sound like it or feel like it when you're actually recording, but when you listen back, it's a completely different story. You can feel it, you can hear it, you can see it. So one of the things is the top lip. It's disdain. What they're saying is disdain. So when you want someone's real opinion and they might be going, that's fantastic. Oh my God, I think that's wonderful how you've done that like that. Then you'll get someone that's like, they're jealous, all right? But they want to disguise the jealousy and they'll go, oh yeah, it's lovely. Oh, it's really nice. Oh, I think, but what you can see is the slight little stiffness in the lips means they don't want to really say this, but they need to look great. And like everybody else, in front of their friends, in front of their peers, in front of you, they want to conceal the jealousy or the envy that they have. And so they'll say it, but they'll say it a bit begrudgingly. And it's subtle. You have to look for it. You have to look for it. Just look at it. The top lip, because they don't want to say it, but they have to. That will show. That will show. We've always seen people who don't want to do something, but are made to have to do it. You can see that. You see that going against it? That's what you'll see in that top lip. That's what you'll see. And then in the eyes, you'll see a bit of disdain and there'll be a stare. But these are very micro. I've just started to practice on those because I was brought up by a lot of people that were concealing, lying, not being them true selves. I don't even think they knew who their true self was. And so anytime they couldn't have any control, they would start to lash out at people, and you would see the changes in their face. You know, you can notice when someone's genuine and they're saying something out of love, or they're really engaging with you. Look for those micro signs, because someone that's really with you, they're relaxed. They're relaxed. Someone who isn't, you'll see it on their face, because they'll look here and everywhere, because they'll look to see if anyone's agreeing with them. So very much so, when someone's a liar, they're looking at you because they're desperate to convince you, desperate to convince you. Someone that looks away, they're in thought, they're thinking. That's good. That's what you want. But for some people, when they're staring right at you, it's because they're watching to see, have they managed to break you? Have they managed to use their tactics to convince you? And this is where, when you've got someone that is dedicated, takes their time, they are the most dangerous predators of all, because they will spend years building their wonderful little environment that is so secure, no one's ever going to believe it. Ever. And that is what you are up against. So the next time when you're wondering why someone waits a good time, it's probably because we're waiting for a moment where it actually might help us this time. We're looking for that avenue of I don't know, of trust, of security, where, listen, we got your back. We've heard your story. Let's get to the bottom of it. Not people just calling you an outright liar because they don't want to hear from it, or because it's their friend that you're talking about, or their family member that you're talking about. Nobody wants to believe that someone in their family or someone that they know could harbor such atrocities. But they do, sweetheart, because they're out there right now. And you wouldn't know. They're hiding it right now. You know? And that is why some people wait, because they're waiting for the best opportunity. And you can't blame them for that. Because they're going to need support, because you are up against everybody, not just that perpetrator. Okay? Right. Now, on that note, because that was a bit of a heavy one, wasn't it? It gets so deep. But do drop comments if you've had any experiences, your thoughts on the matter, anything that you can add. It's all about the learning. It's all about expressing the feelings. Do like and subscribe as well if you're liking my content, if you're liking the things that we are discussing. Also, drop a subject that you think doesn't get enough attention and that you would like to see covered, and I'll cover it the best I can for you. I will take this opportunity as well. If you've got this far, you beautiful people, I love you. Thank you so much, because time is precious. And if you've even given me 5 minutes of your attention, I appreciate love that, and I appreciate love you. And I hope you have a good, safe, productive day, and that, you know, you're just out there doing what you've got to do to better yourself, to fulfill yourself. I will tell you that I had a few technical problems when it came to the podcast, but I'm getting there, and it's all good. So bear with me, give me a couple of weeks. I do have someone that wants to come on and have a great chat. So give me some time, and I will be getting on to that. It's just a lot more trickier to build it up than I first thought. But it's there. But I just got to do a few more little tweaky things and learn how to host the podcast as well. As I said, technical stuff isn't my forte. Yes, I'm a singer-songwriter, and I can tell you a bit about mics, but I was never really the engineer. I'd watch a bit of what they were doing, but I it's not that I can just get up and do those things either. So I'm learning those things, and it's beautiful to learn. I could have AI just do it all for me, but then I feel disconnected. No, it has to be me doing it. Through all my experiences and through surviving and continuing to go on, I don't want AI speaking that on my behalf. I will tell you with my own words. So, I don't know, the connection's just genuine then, isn't it? It's real. So, on that note, my darlings, have a wonderful day, and as always, Jala.